Abusia Ohe Lotson TV. Chief Justice TORKONU. Every say case by a suspended in Yentina on the Casa. Na lady wakasa. I penny was one cassa to where you were money. Wakana in some baby. And then some did more cotton the chess. Baby, I had tried no Nanka on penny hot if he said. No one found one in the chair. PNDC AJ buying NDC for ya and a befa no kukuno. Tia kind in baby would use almost set up pan of alcohol to frustrate her. Ebium says so what cause it financial loss, why embezzle funds. Then you know, so no Caribbean Sika a year constitution and man who pine said open to pine. And I call the coin or side be by you used to hear and cry to a bit that can see the buy. What bet you now? After Chief Justice H. On your bonibia, and Branaman Hawkins would timidate. Only pebia or pay to coin. Most attention I just were in a security constitution in Casabia, or timidate the back to coin. Now, and someone made it to us almost on one and Caswa resign or resign net. Or resign, China. If we said constitutional, and ma or more quine, and more money, the also mono, or Chirimoa. Eh, Mahama buying, and it could be our former who more or more in Seminina, and a lawyer form penny for more fresh set, or appear woman or money a dinner, you know, or quite be braced. And family came to another day. And the same baby not to just so and not so peme or resign. Now, a cow non corner, as someone who would dinner. Car but TV so crab will be happy some crop said that. Cook woman some and in your mom did dinner sumu basa. Young coin, young could justice. TORKONU na young comrade.
Keep watching.
Mofanto and TV.
Keep watching. Don't change it. Keep watching. Don't change it. Keep watching. Don't change it.
And one loss and TV.
Two allegations. He's complaining that I misappropriated public funds to buy a ticket for my husband and my daughter to travel with me. In answer to this, I handed over my letter of appointment to prove that in my conditions of appointment as Chief Justice, Ghana graciously gave me 2 vacations in a year. In the Judicial Service travel policy, since 2010, the Chief Justice can never travel alone for security reasons. And the Chief Justice is always allowed to travel with a spouse or another person of their choice. So traveling on my officially given vacations with my husband on one occasion and my daughter for the second vacation is part of the official conditions of my appointment as Chief Justice. I was also not responsible for buying the tickets in question, such that I could be said to have misappropriated the value of the tickets. Indeed, if the Judicial Service was not allowed to buy the tickets for my vacation, the remedy was for the Auditor General to surcharge me to refund the money. Anyone can check out the 2023 accounts of Judicial Service and know for themselves that there is no surcharge against me or anyone for the tickets that were purchased for my vacations. Ms. Ofori seems to be alleging that I should have traveled with my police escort alone on vacation and not a family member. And this is why he wants me removed from office. And I'm being tried or held behind the walls of a Edu Lodge. Ladies and gentlemen, the question to be asked is, why would anyone demand that I go on vacation given to me as Chief Justice with my police security, instead of going with my husband or my daughter? And how can this be a reason for subjecting a Chief Justice to a committee of inquiry? Featured very prominently in the planning of the murder of judges on June 30th, 1981. And this can be read about in the special investigative report on that terrible event in our nation's history. It will be recalled that there was a Major Samakwa, a military officer who was killed with the 3 High Court justices, who was the Director of Human Resource of GIHOC. He was my uncle and my guardian when I entered the University of Ghana in September 1980. I was also living with him at the time he was abducted and murdered. Was Edu Lodge chosen for my inquiry to make me feel insecure? I think so. And I continue to hold the view that there's no reason why a judicial hearing is being conducted behind the high walls of Edu Lodge. At this Article 146 hearing, no rules provided by law to regulate the fairness of hearings and trials in this country are being followed. I started, or that became obvious to me from the beginning of the process. I started an action in the Supreme Court. I applied for the proceedings of the committee set up by His Excellency the President to be held in public, so that in the interest of transparency and for the truth in the matters being raised to be made known to the people of Ghana. I did so because I knew that the secrecy of the proceedings for removing justices was not created in the Constitution as a cover-up for any agenda. The Constitution expects that only reasons for removing the Chief Justice and public officials as set out in Article 146 will be the reason for doing so. And especially, such reasons must affect public sensitive national interest or public order or safety. I realize that in my case, should the public be made aware of the allegations in the petition, they would realize that none of the allegations made border even remotely on matters of national interest or matters of public order or safety or anything that indicates that I'm unable to perform the functions of my office. An example is an allegation that I failed to retire accountable interest of $14,000 when I traveled. When I did retire that accountable interest 2 days after I returned from my journey, I was given $14,000. I could only spend $4,400, and I returned $9,600 2 days after I returned from Ghana, from my journey. And so I knew that it was necessary that the issues being thrown around as petitions against me needed to get into the public space. I swore to a supplementary affidavit alerting the Supreme Court also of human rights violations that I had started encountering when I went to the Article 146 hearings. However, the members of the Supreme Court that had the action for the hearing in open, and they also struck out the supplementary affidavit at the request of the Attorney General. I have decided to make this statement today because the violations have not stopped. Indeed, they have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined as possible in justice delivery. These violations include the committee's refusal, in breach of the rules of natural justice, to recognize my lawyer on the first day of proceedings, simply because I was not personally present with him. And they went ahead to make arrangements for the hearing without involving my lawyer while he was sitting in front of them. The committee has also failed to indicate the specific charges that I'm supposed to be defending myself against in order to allow me to adequately prepare a defense to the. Again, resigning or retiring while Article 146 proceedings are being conducted to remove a judge is not an option any judge or public official can even have. There is a decided case on the matter by the Supreme Court. The suit number is J6/02/2019. Again, no one has the authority to walk away from proceedings started by the state. Judgment can be entered against you because you failed to defend yourself. And a judge who resigns or retires would still lose all entitlements that they have worked for because they failed to defend the claims they resigned or retired while the proceedings were still going on. Therefore, if false claims are made against a judge or commissioner or other public office holder subject to Article 146 proceedings just to achieve a political agenda, the solution cannot be to resign or voluntarily retire out of frustration, pressure, or fear. You would only subject yourself to two cruelties: a judgment based on false claims and loss of everything you have worked for. It may well be that the efforts being made are intended to frustrate me so that I resign, so that the architects of the scheme can go back into the media and say that the wild and unfounded allegations were not defended because they were true and I had no defense to them. As Chief Justice of the nation, who has been given the privilege and obligation to lead administration of justice.
Afei, talent, football talent.
Right.
So I did 14 years. I got 23 years. Opportunity a be at the amount.
Oh wow.
I will take a be at the amount.
Okay.
Over Quabri.
Okay.
Rock ball.
Okay.
I said Ronaldo, Messi, more airball. I said Lukaku is a go. No.
Okay.
What I say? Rock ya, dear said your market, Essian Mokoya. Sabi Omar retire. No.
Okay.
As I said, could do some more Joe Mudino. And about we are not going to say, the Oshogos come here when Boy as say. Antoine Semenyo or a bomb of it's oh yeah dear pa this time and I say and can this is what team papa be the Real Madrid Kobo yes open so but say Mbappe Lamine Yamal now yeah dear say Lamine Yamal Rafinha mo oh de mechi now we good sa dia me slower trolling and our friend number say
okay
what I say now you be foul akokofodua academy ni ho
okay
obedi 1 month
okay
nya hwebobo nya training na fi o qualify o pass out na fi yero ko Germany ho so no all teams in Europe almost have so baba here
okay
timbado do am betimi akọ Germany there say there's no way someone qualify
okay
we am foul we be foul
because all European teams
and I am foul kon san foul me
never
the here say 1 month na wo hana obe show bibi a kire say
yeah
onim ye
okay careful
a different number no Barnes Football Club and a Lawson Football Academy
okay
and other football teams be a more fly issue and a cabo mu omudi say adwuma no
all right
into way opportunity pa big time
one time
oh baby oni bobo wo nua bi oni bobo wa so oni bobo wa danfo bi oni bobo secretary bia ni
okay
and one forms bia abepeke
okay
and on dan chance secretary bia ni bia what I say na edabako herbal cream asomasene edabako herbal cream no adwumadie ne se
okay
wakọ adwuma bana oba beda no na odi bia fa oni
kofi usisi no
anopa wadware awi a wokọ adwuma no na odi bia fa usisi o joints
okay
so wo dofo bia o yere so no edu anadwo a before bibi be kan biribi na bibi akoka biribi na bibi ahom mesrawa daboko na yemfa edaboko yɛmfa ntwitwi
All right.
mepato wotwitwi sisi na wotwitwi sisi
Okay.
wotwitwi amato ma na wotwitwi amato ma
Okay.
abatia na wotwitwi abatie
Okay.
kotodwa kotodwe
Okay.
Uwia ɛmfa wo nsa no nkɔso bibi mu
All right. Infinity
because
because
ɛhɔ no deɛ ɛnkɔda bɔkɔɔ saa
all right. Okay.
Aha no ama nipa no de adedɔn wasɔre atumrika nti mesrɛ wo a wode twi nipa no wie a
Ɛda bɔkɔɔ.
wofa akɔhoro nsa
Ɛda bɔkɔɔ.
na wobɛtwitwi biribi foforɔ
Ɛda bɔkɔɔ.
wode nsapan
Ɛda
ayɛ
bɔkɔɔ.
adetwe nyame nhyira wo
Amen.
ɛda bɔkɔɔ na numbers no gu aseɛ no
Okay.
ɛhyerɛ wo frɛ a wo nsa bɛka bi